Swamps may seem calm, but beneath the murky waters, something is waiting. Trust me, you don't want to run into these creatures. We're talking about snakes that can kill in seconds, and monsters that could drag you under without a sound. These 20 creatures are straight from your nightmares. If you ever find yourself in a swamp, you better hope you never cross paths with them. Get ready to hear about the most terrifying creatures lurking in the shadows. They're closer than you think. Alligators Swarm in Georgia swamp. You won't believe what one man saw in the swamps of Georgia. A guy named Marty was out boating in the famous Okefenokee swamp, just enjoying the day when something wild happened. He came across a huge group of alligators, all packed into a small spot of water in a place called Billy's Lake. Marty guessed there were about 50 to 60 of them just floating around together. It looked like some kind of reptile meeting. He quickly grabbed his camera and captured the strange scene that left everyone a bit shocked. Here's where it gets even crazier. Researchers from the University of Georgia rushed to the same spot to see it for themselves, but the alligators were already gone. Experts say this rare gathering likely happened because of low water levels, forcing the gators to group up in the few places with food. They missed the big moment, but still counted 151 alligators in just a 1.5-mile stretch. And guess what? The swamp is home to around 12,000 of these creatures. That's right, 12,000 alligators living in one massive swamp. Giant bacteria found in swamp. You won't believe what scientists found deep inside a Caribbean swamp. In the muddy waters of a mangrove forest, where everything is damp and full of rot, researchers discovered something totally shocking: giant bacteria. These swamps are like a buffet for bacteria because they're packed with dead plants and animals. But some of these bacteria didn't just feed, they grew massive. They got so big that when the team first saw them, they didn't even think it was bacteria. Here's the crazy part. These bacteria are 5,000 times bigger than normal ones. That means you can actually see them without a microscope. They also have a very strange structure and an even weirder genetic code. Scientists were blown away, and now they're thinking, what else is out there that we've never seen? This one discovery has opened a whole new world in the study of tiny life forms. The sinkhole that eats everything. You won't believe this, but a giant hole once started swallowing trees in Louisiana, like some horror movie scene. Sinkholes are strange. They can appear out of nowhere and suddenly eat up roads, houses, and anything standing nearby. Most people think they just happen overnight, but that's not always true. Many sinkholes take years to form underground, slowly eating away at soft rocks like limestone or gypsum. And guess what? Some of them aren't even natural. When humans start digging deep for oil, dumping factory waste, or building on weak ground, they can accidentally cause a disaster without even knowing it. Now here's the real shocker. In 2012, a massive sinkhole opened up in a swampy part of Louisiana, and it hasn't stopped growing. It started after a salt dome run by a company called Texas Brine collapsed. This hole didn't just stop at swallowing trees, it belched out barrels of oil and destroyed a huge chunk of land. They say it's one of the worst man-made disasters in the U.S. By 2018, a judge blamed Texas Brine and a few other big companies, but they all tried to escape the blame. Still, you can't really hide a giant 880-foot deep hole that's eating up the earth like it's hungry for more. World's fattest snake. You won't believe how huge this snake really is. Deep in the swampy jungles lives the green anaconda, the fattest snake in the whole world. It may not be the longest like the reticulated python, but it's way thicker and heavier, sometimes even twice as heavy as a python. These giant reptiles belong to the boa family and can grow over 29 feet long, with a body as wide as 12 inches. Some of them weigh up to 550 pounds. To stay this massive, they eat big animals like deer, wild pigs, caimans, and sometimes even jaguar. What they do to catch prey is just terrifying. Green anacondas don't use venom. They squeeze their prey to death by wrapping tightly around them until they can't breathe. Then, just like other snakes, they swallow the whole animal at once. The females are even bigger than the males and are masters at hiding. Their green skin with dark oval and yellow spots helps them blend perfectly into the jungle. They wait quietly in the rainforest, hidden in the plants, and when the time is right, they strike without warning. Weird furry snake in Thailand. This snake didn't look real at all. In 2022, a man in Thailand was walking near his home when he saw something strange in a swamp. It was a green snake covered in what looked like fur wriggling through the dirty water. The creature was about 2 feet long. Without thinking twice, he took it home and placed it in a jar. His family was just as confused as he was, so they shared pictures of it online, hoping someone could tell them what it was. Meanwhile, they kept the snake at home and fed it small fish. But the real answer was far less exciting. After people online helped identify it, they discovered it wasn't a new species at all. It was just a regular puff-faced water snake. The only reason it looked so strange was because it had been in the swamp too long and moss had started growing on its body. When the snake finally shed its skin, all the moss came off too, and it looked like a normal snake again. Florida's shy swamp bears. You won't believe this, but deep in the swampy lands of Florida lives a secretive and rare animal, the Florida black bear. These bears are actually a special type of American black bear that once roamed across Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Florida. But over the years, their numbers have dropped because people kept building homes and roads in their forests. These bears still survive in a few parts of the southern United States and look like regular black bears, except in summer when their fur changes and they sometimes look brown. Here's something wild. If you walk through the Florida swamps, you might see claw marks on trees. That's the sign of a black bear nearby. These creatures are amazing climbers and love to scale tall trees to search for food. But don't be scared. Florida black bears are actually very shy. They only get defensive if they feel danger or if their cubs are close. Most of the time, they prefer to stay alone and quietly move through the forest like shadow. Secret snake of the swamps. You won't believe there's a snake most people have never even seen. The Carolina swamp snake lives deep in the muddy waters of southern swamps, hiding in thick plants and never coming onto dry land. It's small, only about 10 to 15 inches long, with a shiny black back and a bright red or orange belly. That flashy belly might seem easy to spot, but in dark water full of leaves and mud, it helps them stay hidden. They mostly live in places like cypress swamps and Carolina bays, and because they're so secretive, people hardly ever spot them. Here's the crazy part. Scientists still don't know much about these snakes. Since they hide so well, their daily life is still a mystery. But we do know they help keep nature in balance by eating things like tadpoles, frogs, salamanders, leeches, and worms. If you ever see one, that's actually a great sign. It means the wetland around you is healthy and full of life. So this quiet little snake is more important than it looks. The mystery of the giant anaconda. What if we told you that a 33-foot-long anaconda was found on a construction site in Brazil? Thanks to the camera phone, we got to see this unbelievable discovery firsthand. Can you imagine if we didn't have these amazing devices? It would be hard to believe such a story without proof. With all the photoshopped images and deep fakes floating around, who can say what's real anymore? We see things online that make us question everything, even when it comes to giant snakes. The snake in question was said to weigh a crazy 882 pounds and had a diameter of 3.2 feet. But here's the thing. There's some doubt about how true that is. Green anacondas are known to be massive, but no one's officially measured one this big. So, was it really as huge as the stories say, or is there something fishy going on? It's hard to tell what's real anymore when it comes to giant creatures. Human remains found in swamp after 7 years. No one wants to find something like this in a swamp, but that's exactly what happened in Sumter County, South Carolina, when a silver BMW was discovered submerged in 10 feet of water off Highway 401. Inside the car, sadly, were the remains of a person. It was later believed that the man was Tommy Bry, who had gone missing 7 years earlier after leaving a bar in the same BMW model. He was never seen again, and his family had lived with the mystery for years. His sister Sheila was finally able to get some answers. The car had been found using an underwater drone by a local nonprofit that works on missing persons cases. This discovery gave Sheila and her family the closure they had been desperately waiting for. They now had the chance to mourn, knowing what had happened to Tommy all those years ago. The ghost plane of the swamp. Back during World War II, a Boeing B-719E Flying Fortress had to make a dangerous emergency landing in a swamp on the remote northern coast of Papua New Guinea after running out of fuel. The crew survived the crash and walked to safety, but the plane was left behind, slowly sinking into the swamp. In 1972, the plane was rediscovered. and that's when it earned its nickname, the Swamp Ghost. It became a mystery for many years, sitting there forgotten in the wild jungle. Years later, in 1989, a plan was made to bring the plane back and restore it for history. It took time, though, lots of it. The plane wasn't retrieved until 2006, and then it took another 4 years to clear it for import to the United States. Eventually, it arrived in Long Beach, California, where crowds gathered to see it. After a long journey, the plane was sent to be restored at the Pima Air and Space Museum in Tucson, Arizona. Now it's on display at the Pacific Aviation Museum on Ford Island in Pearl Harbor, still undergoing restoration after decades in the swamp. The dangerous, muddy swamp of Florida's Panhandle. Deep inside a national forest in Florida's Panhandle, there's a place that's not for the faint-hearted. Known as the Mud Swamp or New River Wilderness, this area is filled with alligators, thick mud, and dangerous wildlife. It spans over 8,000 acres and is constantly soaked with water, making the land swampy and treacherous. Small islands rise above the water, offering a rare, safe spot for animals like black bears and alligators. The area's remote nature makes it a haven for wildlife, with birds and aquatic life thriving in the wetland, but humans, not so much. While it's a dream for nature researchers, the swamp isn't inviting to tourists. There's no fast food or convenience here, just endless mud and dangerous creatures. The constant rainfall, especially in the summer, makes the waters rise, and the warm, humid climate is perfect for swarms of biting insects. So, if you're planning to visit, remember you're stepping into a wild, untamed place where the mud, water, and creatures rule. New Louisiana swamp monster caught on camera. So, here's something wild. Have you ever thought there might be creatures hiding in the woods around us? Well, some campers in Louisiana just might have caught one on camera. While they were enjoying their campfire and filming themselves, something strange popped up in the background. A mysterious creature appeared to leap between the trees, and let's just say, it's hard to ignore. Now you might be thinking, what was that? The footage is clear and it's definitely not something you see every day. Some people believe this could be proof of a new Louisiana swamp monster living secretly in the trees. There's no easy explanation for what they saw, so maybe there's more to this than we think. The creepy mystery of the Honey Island swamp monster. In Louisiana's Honey Island swamp, there's a strange creature that has puzzled people for years. Known as the Honey Island swamp monster, this mysterious being was first reported in 1963 by Harland Ford, a retired air traffic controller turned wildlife photographer. People describe the creature as over 7 feet tall, walking on 2 legs, and covered in gray hair. It's said to have bright yellow or red eyes and a terrible smell. Ford even found strange footprints and the body of a wild boar with its throat slashed. Creepy, right? But it doesn't stop there. Local legends offer different stories about where the creature came from. One tale says a train crash in the early 1900s caused chimpanzees to escape into the swamp, where they evolved into the monster. Another story claims the creature was once a human child, abandoned and raised by alligators. Despite all these strange sightings and wild stories, the Honey Island swamp monster remains hard to find. So, what's the real story behind this elusive creature? The mystery of swamp gases. Have you ever wondered what makes the bubbles rise in a swamp? It's swamp gases, and they form when plants and dead material decay in the water. As this happens, bacteria break down the organic stuff and create gas, mainly methane. The combination of warm temperatures, low oxygen, and all the plant material in the water leads to these gases forming beneath the surface. Over time, the gas creates bubbles that rise to the top. These bubbles can be tiny like peas or huge, stretching several feet across. Though the cause is simple, these bubbles can still surprise people, especially those in boats out on the water. They aren't usually dangerous, but they can be a bit annoying. Is the Loch Ness monster real? Scientists have a new clue. The Loch Ness monster, or Nessie as many call her, has been a mystery for ages. People have believed for generations that something big and strange is lurking in the cold waters of Loch Ness in Scotland. The famous photos from the 1930s may have been proven fake, but that hasn't stopped thousands of monster hunters from hoping Nessie is real. Some believe she could be a dinosaur that survived the extinction event, while others think she might be a giant eel or even a Greenland shark. Theories about Nessie seem endless, and the mystery only grows. In 2019, researchers from New Zealand took a closer look at Loch Ness by studying the water and gathering DNA samples. They found no proof of a prehistoric monster or giant shark, but they discovered something surprising: lots of eel DNA. This points to a big population of European eels in the loch. While the scientists couldn't rule out the idea of giant eels, they also couldn't say for sure how big they might be. So, the legend of Nessie might not be over just yet. Ended cars in Columbia River Gorge. The Columbia River Gorge is famous for its stunning views and breathtaking landscapes. But there's a darker side to this beauty: abandoned cars scattered all over the area. These old vehicles are left in remote spots, slowly turning into eyesores and causing harm to the environment. They leak hazardous fluids that pollute the land and water, making the stunning scenery less enjoyable. Strangely enough, some of these old cars have become famous landmarks. One, a 1950s Hudson, has been left to decay in the gorge. Photographers love using it in their pictures, capturing the contrast between rusting metal and nature. Thankfully, there are groups like Friends of the Columbia Gorge working hard to clean up the mess, raise awareness, and restore the area's natural beauty. 2,000-year-old shoe found in Germany. You won't believe what a group of archaeologists found while digging in a swamp in Germany. They stumbled upon a 2,000-year-old leather shoe from the late Iron Age. This shoe has a shape like a sandal with a leather lace that holds it together, making it the oldest shoe ever found in the country. It's crazy to think that this small discovery tells a huge story about history, isn't it? But that's not all. This shoe is part of an amazing collection of items found in the area. Along with the shoe, archaeologists uncovered mummified bodies, wooden idols, and even long wooden pathways. It's like uncovering a piece of the past that's been hidden for centuries, giving us new insights into ancient life. What an exciting discovery! Close call with a giant alligator in Florida. Have you ever had a close encounter with a giant alligator? This Florida man did, and it was pretty wild. While he was out fishing for tarpon in the Florida wetlands, he was reeling in a catch when he suddenly spotted a huge alligator heading straight for him. The guy quickly stepped back, but the alligator didn't stop. It kept coming closer. Feeling the danger, he had no choice but to run, and luckily he made it out safely while the alligator eventually wandered off. Alligators are no joke, especially in Florida, where they can grow up to 15 feet long and weigh over 1,000 pounds. These creatures were once on the endangered species list, but thanks to conservation efforts, they've made a huge comeback. Today, you can find them all over the southern states, especially in places like Louisiana and Florida. In the spring, they get even more dangerous as they start their mating rituals. With the females guarding their nests, it's best to avoid getting too close. Girl rescued from swamp in record time. A 5-year-old girl was lost in a swamp in Tampa, Florida, and time was running out to find her. The police acted fast, using everything they had to help search. Helicopters with thermal imaging technology flew over the area, scanning through thick trees and water. In less than an hour, they spotted the girl. They quickly rescued her, bringing her back to her worried mother. This quick rescue was thanks to a special program called Safety Net. It helps find people like children, elderly, or those with special needs who may have wandered off. The program is used by the police's aviation units and patrol cars to track down missing people quickly and safely. It's a great system that works when every second counts. The mystery of the skunk ape in the swamp. Have you ever heard of the skunk ape? This strange creature is said to live in the swamps and forests of Florida. People describe it as a huge, ape-like figure, standing between 5 and 7 feet tall, covered in reddish-brown fur. And yes, it smells awful, like a skunk, which is where it gets its name from. But honestly, if you lived in a swamp, you probably wouldn't smell much better. The first stories about this creature go way back to the 1800s. In 1818, there was a newspaper article about a man-sized monkey stealing food and scaring fishermen in what is now called Apalachicola, Florida. The sightings of the skunk ape didn't stop there. Throughout the 20th century, more and more people claimed to see this mysterious creature. In the 1940s, some residents of Suwannee County even reported that the creature attacked vehicles on lonely roads. By the 1970s, people in Broward County were having nighttime encounters with a large, foul-smelling, ape-like creature. It's a strange story, right? So, now that you know what's out there, remember, never venture too deep into a swamp. Because those creatures, They're always waiting for the next unsuspecting vert. If you found this terrifying, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more creepy stories. And whatever you do, don't let your curiosity lead you into a swamp. You never know what could be lurking in the dark.